Good morning. Welcome to the Jesus Before Money podcast. This is the money portion. Today is what? I don't even know. It's Friday, June 27th, 2025. And I would like to cover the SPX real quick. There's a lot, but I figured people might enjoy this. SPX, we're going to go through Circle, Coin, Hood, Bitcoin, Netflix, Palantir, and GEV. Right? And title of today's video is going to be The Magic of Parallels. We've been talking about these a lot. Now, the SPX. Before I get up here and zoom in, I just want to show you this parallel. Now, my first video a couple days ago, I talked about how I thought the COVID low was going to be important here. I mean, since COVID, we've had so much money printing, right? And where we topped out was right when Powell, when inflation got out of control and they started raising interest rates, right? And that was right at the end of December 21, right at the end of 21. They started raising interest rates and the market started to come in. Now we got to the October 22 low. And since then, there's kind of been this, we're just going to float up. No big deal. We're going to be all right. But what I like here is that, this signaled the top right during the interest rate hiking cycle that took the markets down. And then up here is, this is December of 24, November-ish. This is right when we started pounding on the top of that, the logarithmic parallel channel from my first video. I encourage you to go watch that. Okay. And another thing I like about this parallel is, like I said, this is only, I got to zoom in, but it's like 2.5%, 3% up, which corresponds to the max move of the other parallel. So I like that. I like the COVID low, and I like these highs. And this chart has been hugging the midline, right? So I like this parallel channel, okay? Parallel channels are just an art. I'll do a video eventually on how to make a parallel. But today, which I thought was interesting, is they've been trying to gap this market up. And as we stand now, let me go to the 4 hour. Almost all-time high. So we're Friday. We have PCE data today, some inflation data coming out. But it's just very interesting to me. They've had their pom-poms out all week since the ceasefire, trying to rally this market, people covering their shorts, and we're just so close. So will we see an all-time high? I mean, the probabilities now are very likely. How long will it last is another question I have. You just start getting all these gaps, gap, and then so the further you start pulling away from big gaps, the more the market wants to come down and fill those gaps, right? Also, this market, since Trump said it's a good time to buy, which I think was actually April 6th. Okay, this is the morning of the 7th, so it must have been the 7th, April 7th, which hasn't been that long, right? We've gone up now 27%. In a very short amount of time, and this is just a very vertical move, right? Now, my mentor, Gareth Soloway from Verified Investing, always tells us, or his big thing is, when you get a breakout or a breakdown, which really the SPX chart broke its upsloping trend line before the SPY did, which I think is interesting. And once you get a breakdown, you usually get a retest of what was either support or resistance. So this means, could we see a much larger move? And that I would have to adjust this parallel. It's possible. It's possible. But I really like these two highs, right? So I think that these two highs are important. that might not be the most important trend line. I mean, I've kind of gotten over these a lot, but thing I wanted to point out here is this one. And so, sure, yeah, we've broken out, okay? And I have a lot of charts to go over today. But in reality, depending on, like I said, it's an art. So I would say we broke out here. We tried. We got rejected, right? We did not close above this candle. And yesterday, we closed up here. So we have broken out we've broken out and confirmed a breakout from at least this trend line. Are we going to break out today, and are we going to confirm? Once we confirm a breakout, then we're a breakout. We would move higher. If we break out, now from all-time highs is the most important. If we break out, if we close above here today, and then on Monday we close above it again, and I think we're going to see the top of this, because then we would have a lot of support to come back into before we head back up, okay? If we get bull trapped here, if they break this out above the all-time highs, and then Monday we're back below, right? If we do not confirm a breakout, it's called a bull trap. That's when the rugs get pulled. And I'll show you real quickly why I think the rugs are going to get pulled, okay? All right, that's enough of that. Let's go to Circle. Circle, impressive move. I tried my best to find a parallel here, okay? But what I really like about Circle is that, I'm not going to just this wedge pattern, okay? Boom, 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 boom. And this can be adjusted. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe I was on the 10-minute. Hold on. Yeah, I was on the 10-minute chart. All right. So you can see that this 194, I think there was actually a gap fill there. Hold on. So how's your day? We got to keep this interesting. See this gap? About 206, 199 is right around 200. So that's why the market's, caught a lot of support here. There was a lot of traders trying to buy this. And sure, there's another gap here down at 133. So we don't have a lot of data for the parallel channel, but I did my best, just thinking that, I have two lows. So try to connect them and a high. And that's what forms the parallel for now, okay? But what I'm trying to get at on Circle is, okay, this wedge pattern, we broke out from the wedge, right? Now, we've been chopping sideways. Maybe we get another move up. And my idea is to try to tell you where that might be. So $32 move. Looks like we're kind of breaking out here. And literally, we only have until Friday at 10:30. So today, this is going one way or the other, right? Up or down. But a $32 move takes us right up to here, right about to the 258, the 0.618 Fibonacci, which these Fibonacci numbers are crazy how they work in nature. Plus, you have these pivots and everything. So, I would be looking, if it gets up in here, you could put on a 270 put or something, buy some puts. Not financial advice, but I'll look to short. You could run it up and then look to short this thing, right? Because you just have to remember, Circle is up from its IPO on the 5th of June. We ran 367%. It's huge. There's a lot of people that want to take profits, right? But these stable coins and Bitcoin and everything else, it's just such a hot topic. People were chasing like crazy. But this pattern is telling me that we're going higher. We're gonna run up, but we're gonna come into resistance. And where we're gonna come into resistance, we're gonna start to first hit resistance around the midline of the parallel. Okay, so if literally this line and this line met, Monday morning at 0920, that would be a good opportunity. You have two factors of support you would have a two-factor trade, right? Better than just one. But anyway, these are your levels on circle to watch if you can see them. I'll try to make them bigger. So 194 was the bottom, but we got 246, 258, and then 275. Okay. And then depending on how it moves into these levels, we'll see if it ever can get back above its most recent all-time high, right? We'll see how this parallel plays out. All right, moving on. Coinbase. I did my best on a parallel here. Now, I have Coinbase shorts. I shorted it too early, unfortunately. But you see this here? Look at this. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Inverse head and shoulders, which is very interesting because Bitcoin has the same pattern, right? Now, we just do a measured move on this from the bottom to the top. That's about a 327, call it $330 move. And then, so I did my best here from the breakout to go up, that's 280. But if you go over to the right, you get that full measured move. So I actually think this might be the parallel, which is interesting. If you find the master parallel on something, it's like a big game hunter just waiting for the prey, that trophy animal to come into sight, that bighorn elk or whatever, and you just take your shot. So I like that. But my concern with coin is this, since Trumpity Trump said buy, you're up 170%. And this move here has been very vertical. So we're going to see a check back before this happens, right? And we'll see. We gapped here around this midline of the parallel. You see the gap? So might have to gap up, but I think we come at least back down to the neckline, which is about a $345. Hopefully more, so I can get my put money back, but we'll see. All right. All right, Hood is into double top. Okay, I would not chase here. This is the IPO open. I do have $85 puts on Hood, and this is one of my favorite plays right now because if we go to the 10-minute chart real quick before I go through more of my analysis, since it put in its high, it's been forming this bear flag, right? And maybe this is only probability. It's not an exact science of anything. But when you fall and then you start chopping up at a 45-degree angle, this is a bear flag. So what this is telling me, when this breaks, we're going to break. Okay? And I have other support lines here where I think we're coming into. So I think we're going to see at least a 6% drop, but there are some gaps that need to be filled. And just look, this thing, since good old Trumpity Trump, we are up 100, almost 200%. So a bigger move up is not likely, right? But this is kind of the trend line that we're following. I'll make that bigger. This is kind of the trend line, but you see this gap here. We almost tagged it, but it's still open because you closed here and then you gapped up. On a green candle, you open at the bottom, you close at the top. On a red candle, you open at the bottom of the candle and you close at the bottom. And then these are your intraday highs and your intraday lows, which is the wick, the top part, and the tail. And this gives us a lot of information about buying and selling pressure of the day. But anyway, you see this upsloping channel, we're at least upsloping trend line. We're at least going to tag this. If this breaks, this whole shelf here would be support. This would be a little window of support here, right? But I would pretty much bet we're coming back to about 67.95. And if this market sells, we could go a whole lot lower. So, this gap down here at $50 needs to be filled. Depending on what happens. Okay, but I like this parallel for now. Another thing I see here is potentially, we got up here, and if we start trading down and to the right, what would that be? That would be a cup and handle that would set us up for the move higher. That's ultimately what I think this is. We are in double top, but I could see this playing out as the beginning of the cup, like the cup top. We form the handle, and then we push out. But I would not be buying here. I would wait for the next breakout. Okay. Netflix, another high flyer. And okay, now my thesis for why the markets might be coming in, I'm going to begin with Hood, because I think Hood has been a big player here, is about to correct, right? Netflix has been a huge player, and I found this parallel. I'm not sure if this is correct, but it shows a little bit more upside, but it's getting there, But another thing, if we look at Netflix, if we just go to a weekly chart, I mean, this thing is off the Richter scale. I mean, this is, look at since I think this is 2002, we're up 728%. I bet you there's going to be some profit taking. Netflix, it doesn't pay a dividend or anything. It's just a growth stock. I mean, I don't get it. But we chopped here, and what was really interesting about Netflix, that you can see here, is literally it was forming a head and shoulders pattern right before Trumpity Trump. And I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I don't know what I'm saying like that. But told everyone to buy, and we've been up 63% since April 7th. So this is going to correct. It's almost like an irrational move. But you can stay irrational for a long time in the markets. So even though your thesis is, hey, this is unhealthy, it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't matter. All right, and then I had a trend line on this. Let me see my Netflix chart here. This is what I'm tracking on the 4 hours. So from the hump of the head and shoulders, boom, 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 and we tagged it. We're actually kind of breaking above it. So that's super bullish. That's just insanely bullish, which means we might see. This is the trend line here. Boop, boopity boop. Maybe it's but I have it like down through that tip there. So the thing is, it's an art. It's not a science. If you lift it up to just connect. Here, really the most extreme tips, tops, pivots, we could just grind higher. But I would not be a buyer. I'd be very careful of Netflix. Even if you have Netflix in your stock account, I would call your stockbroker and say, hey, get me out. Or your financial advisor, okay? So Netflix is almost going to reverse. I mean, its days are numbered. Hood, major reversal. I think coin as well. Just the level there. I don't know. Palantir, also another thing since April 7th. We're way up here, right? Another parallel up almost 130%. So Palantir, plus we're getting very extended. Right. One thing I don't talk about is the RSI. But on the RSI, I hate this deal here. Okay, look from here, RSI is way up here, and do we make a new high there? No, we did not. Let's just start from here. Okay, on the chart, you can see up here on the chart. So this RSI down here is corresponding to the chart. RSI has been going down while we float up. That's called a bearish divergence, meaning that Palantir's days are numbered and it's into the top of the parallel. And that's for all these charts. They all have bearish divergence, right? GEV. GEV is the same. I mean, look at this. Parallel. Look, what's really interesting is yesterday we tried to break out above the parallel and they got rejected. It's telling me that this parallel is good. Very, very good. I honestly believe we have to fill this gap at 400. I mean, this is GEV. Yeah, sure, these small nuclear reactors are going to be this, that, and the other, but in the future, this has just been a momentum stock. Another play that's overextended and at its peak. I mean, where is this market going to continue going? Palantir, the big movers are maxing out. Okay. All right. So I would not be a buyer. I would actually, if you own GEV stock, you might want to consider getting out, right? Waiting for a retrace. If it gets down here to $400, I will be buying calls. I'll probably buy I'll probably wait to see if we pierce it, if we could actually fill this gap here at 371, and then I'm going to go long on GEV. Okay, Bitcoin. This one is this an inverse head and shoulders? Is this just going to take off? It's unreal. I mean, maybe. I don't have that answer, right? But if I just go to the more, go to a 10-minute chart where every candle here is 10 minutes, I can just tell you that I was tracking this up move here, where we were kind of climbing this wall. We broke. I'm not going to say this was a breakdown. No. I got to go back a little bit. Sorry. Here. Kind of, we were stair stepping up. Boom, boom, boom. Ding, ding, ding. And then now, what this really looks like to me is a bull flag, which is really interesting. I mean, is Bitcoin just going to take off here and leave everybody behind? It's possible. It's very correlated to the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ sells, which is, if China takes Taiwan, 90% of the AI chips are made in Taiwan. If that happens, which I think is the base case, I think it's going to happen. Watch out, okay? But in the near term on Bitcoin, this is just a 10-minute chart. So this is going back to this pivot on the 24th. This upsloping parallel, or just maybe this bottom, just maybe focus on this bottom support line. This is breaking, okay? So it looks like Bitcoin's coming in. Where might it come in? I like this pivot to this pivot, which is right around 102, 791, 102.80, $102,800. Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Do we have a support line here? Hold on, not there. Let's start here. Just kind of doing this stuff on the fly so you can see how I kind of do this. Okay, pivot. I think if we can kind of come below this, like I said, it's not a science. You see that we kind of broke out and then tested it to come back. So we can see a retrace back to this trend line here. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe 100,000. We'll see. I would keep that trend line. I would draw that trend line. Let me go to 4 hour so you can get a better idea where I'm at. Okay, so this trend line here, this is where we broke out. So could we see a retrace here before we maybe move up, or does this hold support? And this would be a two-factor trade, right? You would have this underlying support plus this trend line. And just bear with me. Let's see if we can find a three-factor. Okay, kind of showing you how to do this here. Okay, from just this move right here, boom, which would be Saturday. So if Bitcoin's going to break down here and head back down towards the $100,000 mark, Bitcoin is our guiding light in the investing world for liquidity, for global liquidity. Bitcoin does break down today in flushes. I mean, that's Saturday, right? If that happens, then that means we have topped in the stock market. The stock market will follow. Bitcoin leads because it's the most liquid asset. It's traded 24/7, 365 all around the world, right? So it's a good indicator of what might be coming. It usually leads. It will fall first because it's always open, or it'll start rising first, right? And it doesn't. It deviates sometimes, but not really, not yet. All right, well, that's been a long video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you're curious, if you just have a stock that you love and you want me to do some TA on it, I will. Leave a comment, okay? Give a thumbs up, and I'll try to do these videos as often as I can. See you next time, and God bless you. Bye.